attorney TataNisha, and you're listening to Legal Kaleidoscope. We're live on 9:10 a.m. Superstation, Radio Our Way. First and foremost, I'd like to thank my listeners and my viewers. I'd like to thank Denise Doty Johnson, and I'd like to thank Mr. Kevin Adele. And more pointedly, I'd like to thank my guests today. We have TataNisha Coleman, attorney TataNisha Coleman, and we have attorney Nicole James here with us today. Both of these wonderful attorneys, they are running for office. They will be public figures because we are believing in the name of Jesus Christ, our Lord, that they will win. So they are here to tell you a little about them. TataNisha Coleman is running for Third Circuit Court. Nicole James is running for the Court of Appeals. We will also talk about expungement laws. And I have a really good question for both of these potential public figures, and we're going to delve right into it. But first and foremost, I'd like for my guests to introduce themselves.
Thank you, TataNisha. This is attorney TataNisha Kane Taylor Coleman. I'll be on the ballot as TataNisha Taylor Coleman under Coleman. I've been practicing attorney for over 20 years. Previously a prosecutor. I've also done criminal defense, family, landlord and tenant, and various areas, municipal, district, circuit, and Court of Appeals work.
Thank you, TataNisha. And Nicole, tell us about yourself.
Hello, everyone. My name is Nicole James. I am a licensed attorney. Formerly, I worked at the Wayne County Prosecutor's Office for 15 years, and now I've been in private practice. In my private practice, I handle criminal, probate, and family cases, just to name a few. My experience dates back, and as a prosecutor, I handled cases as serious as homicide cases and low-level felony cases such as felonious assaults and things of that nature. But when I left the prosecutor's office, I left handling domestic violence cases that occurred, homicide cases that occurred as a result of domestic violence.
That's pretty serious. People oftentimes don't even understand the domestic violence is very serious. It's a direct correlation between domestic violence and homicide. But what I want you, the listeners, to do, give us a call, 313-209-9000, 313-209-9000. We're here for two reasons today. I want you to ask Attorney Coleman and Attorney James, what about them will make them a superior judge? I want you to ask them any legal questions you have prior to us talking about the expungement. And until those phones ring, I'm going to ask them some questions. So, TataNisha, yes, it's been bothering me, the divide between church and state.
Yes.
When people talk about, is there a separation? I like to know, what is your, how do you feel about the forgiveness of financial mismanagement versus moral turpitude? For example, you have a judge who has sex outside of marriage, and he may not be forgiven by the public. He may not be forgiven by the bench. He may be suspended or disbarred. Or you have a lawyer who is really crass, really brazen, and he may be suspended or disbarred. But you have so many people who are mismanaging funds in a business sector and or arena, and I believe that somehow we're hierarchy moral turpitude over financial mismanagement as a body. And how do we legislate somebody's moral compass? I'd like for you to weigh in, and then I want Attorney James to weigh in.
Well, thank you. One of the big things that I say, morality cannot be legislated, but behavior can be regulated. And while as judges, we cannot give our personal feelings vent, we must apply and abide by the law, by the Constitution. But as you see on a day-by-day basis, society makes a determination of what is more serious or more significant. And as your example, saying moral turpitude, well, if these individuals do this, then they're more culpable, they're more criminal, if you will, than someone who potentially could devastate lives in another way, as opposed to a homicide, which is the most serious. When you look at...
You're being too safe, TataNisha. I want the real answer. You're being too safe.
My real answer is I actually graduated in white-collar criminal justice, wanted to actually prosecute in that, because that is the most devastating crime. When you look at the pensions that we recently were basically just demolished because of the bankruptcy in Detroit. When you look at the 2008 financial ruin where no one was prosecuted, no one was criminalized, no one was in any way brought to court to pay for the lives that were ruined, and not just for some time, but forever. They can't bounce back from that.
Absolutely.
And while, like I said, we can't legislate as judges, you can legislate as we all can with our legislators, with our Congress, making laws to make that the most serious in regards to what people do, moral turpitude or financial transactions. Let's take a look at it.
I agree. Nicole, what's your position on that?
I think that one of the things that is looked at, first of all, I think people are judged based on whether those financial or moral turpitude issues occur in their professional or private life. But I think they're judged on both. And I think people seem to be more forgiving if it's on a financial level as opposed to the moral turpitude. And financial only if it's in their personal life. And as Attorney Coleman has indicated, that when those financial issues rise to the level that they destroy or destruct other one's lives, unintended people, then you have people who are less forgiving even for financial situations.
And I agree, but I think what you said, people have a tendency to hierarchy or accept what's palatable to them.
Exactly.
So if financial mismanagement in my personal life, my bank account, my checks are always bouncing, I'm always having a problem financially, I can forgive a city that's thrown into bankruptcy or a financial institution that bails out mortgage institutions. But I think what they don't see, like Delisha said, is the individuals who have these pensions who can no longer afford health insurance, who can no longer afford the basic necessities that they always have had.
And I think it doesn't come to light until it has an impact on someone that is close to you. For instance, my father is a Detroit police officer. And so he is one of the people that is affected by the pensions that were reduced, and so it has a direct effect on his livelihood and whether he is or will be able to retire in the near future. And that goes for a number of people in the city of Detroit.
You know, I agree. I think it's a big thing because we say it's a separation between church and state, but it's really not. Did you guys realize that adultery is still on the books, criminalized in 21 different states?
Yes, I just recently saw that. But also many of the crimes that are looked at that happens every day. Perjury. It happens every day in courts, and it happens by police officers. It happens by...
Stop. Did you say it happens by police officers?
It does.
So police officers get on the stand and lie?
They do, along with defendants, along with witnesses, along with prosecutors, and along with criminal defense attorneys. It happens every day, but under oath as a witness, we all are officers of the court.
Absolutely.
And we should be held accountable. You can't get on the stand and say you can see through a car.
But what I find to be so egregious is the judges, the benches know that these police officers are lying and they uphold it. They bind over anyway. They don't allow the motions to quash anyway. They don't allow the motions to suppress anyway. Why do you think that is, Nicole?
I don't think that they can make a flat-out determination at that point in time that the person is absolutely lying. I think that they may have some questions about their credibility, but at that point in time, and you're speaking about binding over at the preliminary exam, at that point in time, that is that one judge's suspicions about that the person is testifying, their credibility. But ultimately, they aren't the judges of the facts at that point.
But when you have a bench trial, they are the trier of facts.
Yes,
and
they
I
are.
still find they give so much more latitude to a lying police officer than they do to a defendant and or the attorneys. As officers of the court, we can be grilled on anything that we say, and we're held to the standard, and our feet are placed to the fire every single day that oftentimes we feel like we're walking on eggshells. Where the defendants and the police officers and the people, and I know I'm saying this to Nicole James, who was a prosecutor for so many years, and I'm so glad to see her on the defense side. Whoop, whoop, go, Nicole and Delisha. So we're going to have to go to break in a minute. But Delisha, do you find that the judges and the bench oftentimes are a little more lenient in questioning the veracity of an officer than they should be?
That's one of the main reasons I'm running for judge, is because I don't feel that the judges really abide by the Constitution. And they say, fair and equal, innocent until proven guilty. It's, well, let someone else decide. Don't make that hard decision. Don't make that decision about credibility. Let's make someone else decide. But when I have to decide, for whatever reason, I find that the judges are saying, well, even though it's supposed to be equal, I'm going to give one side, in my opinion, the people more credibility than the other side. And that's just blatantly unfair and unacceptable.
The preferential treatment. The black letter law is only as good as the man behind it. I thank you for listening, and we're going to go to break. Have your constitutional rights been violated by illegal search or seizure of your motor vehicle or home? Did you know that every parent has a fundamental right of parenting, which includes visitation? Call me to get the rights you deserve. I'm attorney TataNisha Reed. Innocent until proven guilty is your right, not just the same. My team of legal professionals will work aggressively to advocate your criminal and family matters and get your life back on track.
For a greater chance to succeed in your time of need, call attorney TataNisha Reed.
For watching Legal Kaleidoscope. I'm attorney TataNisha Reed, and I'm here in 910 AM Superstation with attorney Nicole James and attorney Delisha Coleman. Again, I would like to remind you, Nicole James is running for the Circuit Court of Appeals judge. Please get out, vote for attorney Nicole James. Also, attorney Delisha Coleman. She is running for Third Circuit Court judge. Get out, Delisha Coleman, NJDC. Make it happen, folks. We have to put people in office who are going to listen, people who are going to be fair. Remember, the black letter law is only as good as the person behind it. These two individuals here, they have character, they have integrity, and they have a moral compass. But not only do they have a moral compass, they have the veracity and the trustworthiness to back it up. So, Attorney Coleman, before the break, you were talking about the weight, the credibility that were given certain witnesses. And on the break, you said, wait, I wanted to say something else. What was it that you wanted the people to know?
I wanted to be very clear. Our society is run by rules and laws. And in those rules and laws, we have to abide by them. And the credibility of individuals, whether it's a police officer, whether it's a defendant, whether it's a witness, has to be made equal. And in no uncertain terms am I saying, police officers are uncredible or incredible or not to be believed. Just that their testimony should be and will be, when I get on the bench, equal to everyone else's. You have the facts, you have the law. That is what the determination will be based on when I become a judge.
I want to throw this question out to our audience, 313-209-9000, and then I'm going to let Nicole weigh in. 313-209-9000. In terms of moral turpitude and financial mismanagement, which one are you most willing to forgive with the political figure? Moral turpitude meaning legislating their sex lives, if they're committing adultery, if they're bisexual, gay, lesbian, if they have something that your moral compass doesn't agree with, if they're just simply fat. I mean, everybody has a different thing that they are prejudiced against. So what do you think is most egregious? What do you think is most blameworthy? Someone who's committing a crime against your moral value system or someone who's mismanaging money? Nicole, before we change subjects, what else did you want to add, if anything?
I just wanted to add that I'm running for the Michigan Court of Appeals. And so at that level, those are cases that people are most familiar with when someone is convicted of a crime and then they want to appeal their conviction.
So wait, just so people understand, if they're convicted of a crime, is that by bench or by jury? Or what if they even plead guilty? Do they still have a right to appeal?
They have a right to appeal. So first let's start with by plea. If they plead guilty and then they want to appeal their conviction, they have to request permission from the Court of Appeals to appeal their conviction, because the assumption is that their plea was knowing and voluntary. When they're convicted by a judge or jury, you have an automatic right to appeal. And you're appealing, saying to the court that there were some errors that were made in your trial to which you believe that you are entitled to a new trial. So at that level, I believe that that we need to be fair in how these appeals are looked at and viewed. I don't think that whether one's appeal is granted should be based on their economic status, their race, their religion, their political views. I think that
wait, Nicole, what you say that, but do you really think the court-appointed attorneys work as hard as the attorneys? And we have Frank on the line, so let's go to Frank. Let's answer Frank's question, and we'll come back to you. Hi, Frank. How are you? Thank you for calling Legal Kaleidoscope.
Hello. How are you ladies doing?
Excellent. Thank you.
Very good. My question is, as running for a judge, a lot of times people don't encounter a courtroom or the legal system, period, until it encounters them. So as to running for your position, how would you address the public, letting them know that we're here to serve you, not just to not to necessarily condemn, but to pass judgment on you? Because I know sometimes when I go for a traffic ticket or something like that, you get a little weary. Like, is this, you get a little bent out of shape, thinking like, oh, it's all over with for yourself. Whereas, many of us, we don't really touch the law or come in contact until it comes time come in contact with us. So how would you address the public, letting them know that I'm here to serve you? Don't be afraid. I'm here to be a service and a help and not a hindrance.
For myself, running for Third Circuit Court, which is the court over all of Wayne County above the different district courts, I think that's a very important question, and I find it in regards to getting signatures and putting my name out there. A lot of people, well, I don't know you. How many of the judges do you know? You don't know them until you come before them. And no matter what court that you have to go, whether it's traffic, whether it's civil, whether it's criminal, felony, judges are public servants. That is one of the reasons why I'm running, because many of the judges I come before have forgotten that they are public servants. This is not a dictatorship. This is not a king or queenship. While you control your courtroom, you are a public servant. Everybody that comes before you is necessarily must be treated with the respect that you would want it if you were before them to be treated with. And I find that many of my clients which are low income, which are African American, lower on the socioeconomic scale, are treated in a certain way. I've had judges yell at myself and my clients, and for no more reason than questioning the actions or a situation that brings my clients before them. And fundamentally, we are public servants. As a judge, you need to be accountable, you need to be accessible, and that's what I will be, because I know the way I was raised is I'm going to treat people the way I want to be treated, and I don't want anybody to be disrespected, because I have a problem when I'm disrespected. A lot of my clients call me a bulldog because I fight for individual rights, and I'm going to do that from the bench also as a public servant. Not a master, a servant.
I like that. Not servant leadership.
That's real good. And then one quick last question before the other attorney answers. Do either one of you ladies feel that there is a lack of black male judges on the bench? And then I'll hang up and listen. Thank you.
As to his question with respect to judges, I always tell people that judges are public servants and they serve the public, and that before you decide in terms of voting who you support, you should do your research. I tell people, especially like the caller said, people who don't come in contact with the system, they aren't aware of who the judges are until they get there. So in terms of exercising your right to vote, do your research beforehand, and don't simply mark the name that has the I next to it, which denotes an incumbent, just because it has an I next to it. Some people will say things like, well, they've been there and I haven't heard anything, so they must be doing a good job. It doesn't necessarily mean that. So I encourage people to do their research.
And what about the black judges, either of you? Do you think there are enough men black judges or no?
Well, I think just like a jury, it should be representative of your peers. And in Wayne County, depending on the county in which you come from, it should be representative of your peers.
I have to chime in on this. My girlfriend and I were on the telephone last night, and I said, I'm going to do T-shirts. And she said, what are they going to say? And I said, jury duty matters. And she didn't get it. Yes. And she was like, jury duty matters. She said, I probably wouldn't wear a shirt that said jury duty matters. But she understood it. But when you're in the legal field, my issue is everybody wants a jury of their peers, but nobody wants to do jury duty.
Exactly.
Black folks get that thing in the mail and they toss it. White people think it's my civic duty. Black people think, I don't want to go downtown. I don't want to pay for parking. I can't afford it. My kids have to eat. It only becomes important when your child is sitting in that chair and his life is in the balance.
I wouldn't necessarily say it was black versus white, because my experience is that people in general don't want to.
So why are all the white people there and no black people, Nicole?
I think because they believe that there's some penalty associated with it. They've heard about people being arrested or brought into court when they don't appear for jury duty. But what we experience, and you all know this because we all handle jury trials, is when you get there and you're going through jury voir dire, that everyone has an excuse about why they can't come. Mm-hmm. And the excuse could be something from, I have to go to work and no one else can do my job in the whole company, to I have a cough and so I don't believe that I'll be able to pay attention. And you have some judges who will say, look, it's your civic duty to be here. If you don't want to be here, we don't want you here, so go ahead and go. But you have other judges that hold people's feet to the fire. It's your civic duty, and you must be here. And these excuses, unless they are legitimate excuses, you have some surgery scheduled or a pre-planned vacation that's already paid for, and you have documentation, because people will say, oh, yeah, I do have it. But they hold you to it and let you know that it's your civic duty, and you're going to be here.
But I still find a disproportionate amount of individuals who are not African American. In the city of Detroit, it's highly populated with people who look like us three. However,
no, I would agree with you on that. I just wanted to point out that it's just not African American people who don't want to serve on jury duty.
Okay. No, I do agree. And I do agree that others don't want to serve as well. But like you said, maybe
it's just disproportionate.
It's disproportionate. Exactly. And maybe they have wisdom and have the fear of the law, where we feel like, catch me if you can. Thank you guys for going on break.
So Sam, I heard your grandma say they're donating that car to Charity Motors. Yep. Said they're getting a full fair market tax deduction for it?
I do not know what that means.
It means we get whatever it's worth as a tax deduction, right when we donate it.
Nope, not getting it.
It means we get money for it. So does the charity we pick. And the car goes half off to someone who really needs it.
Dollar bills, Sam. Whoop, whoop. Charity Motors.
Yep.
Have your constitutional rights been violated by illegal search or seizure of your motor vehicle or home? Did you know that every parent has a fundamental right of parenting, which includes visitation? Call me to get the rights you deserve. I'm attorney TataNisha Reed. Innocent until proven guilty is your right, not just the same. My team of legal professionals will work aggressively to advocate your criminal and family matters and get your life back on track.
For a greater chance to succeed in your time of need, call attorney TataNisha Reed.
His name is James Callahan. A lot of people think that Judge Callahan is crazy. I love Judge Callahan because he is indiscriminate. It doesn't matter. He's going to yell. He's going to fuss. He's going to smile. He's going to joke. It doesn't matter if you're white. It doesn't matter if you're black, green, or purple. Some people are simply neutral and other people aren't. So you're 100% right. Oftentimes, people who don't look like you or I get preferential treatment. And sometimes judges get it right. You have judges who get it right. You have judges who get it wrong. But you got to remember, they're robed, they're clothed in human skin. And as long as they're in this fleshly body, we're prone to error.
And I think the other thing that he mentioned was the Virgil Smith case, and how a crime with a gun is 2 years in prison, and that he believed that he was given preferential treatment. I would point out that, again, the prosecutor is the person who has the charging authority or discretion. And in a case like his, where he is a person that has never been in trouble before, he isn't the only person that would, under the prosecutor's rules, would have gotten such a deal. They take into consideration whether someone has a criminal record, the type of crime that was committed, and what harm there was to the people of the community. So the plea deal that he received is not uncommon.
Absolutely. I do agree. And oftentimes we get to write letters to the gun board when people have guns. I've gotten people who've had felonies, misdemeanors. I've gotten them brandishing. So I do believe that, yes, Virgil Smith is a public figure. His father is a public figure. But look at the good that he's done. Exactly. And I'd like to thank you for calling. Before we wrap up, we're going to have both of our attorneys, Delisha Coleman and Nicole James, speak and tell you some of their platform issues. Delisha?
Thank you. Delisha Taylor Coleman for Third Circuit Court Judge. I've been practicing over 20 years. I'm committed to individual rights. I'm committed to being a public servant, treating people with respect, treating people with honor, upholding the law, not legislating from the bench. And while Attorney Reed stated we are flesh inside that robe, we have a mandatory duty to uphold the law and uphold it equally for everyone, no matter the race, the color, the size, whatever. And I will do that, being accessible and accountable, tough on crime and strong on education, because you'll see they're tied. Most of the acts and crimes that are committed are people who have time to waste, people who are undereducated, people who do not have a financial have jobs. And I want you to know that on the bench, I will make a difference. Delisha Taylor Coleman.
Delisha Taylor Coleman. Nicole?
And again, my name is Nicole James. I want people to know that I am a product of the Detroit Public School System. I graduated from Osborne High School. I attended Michigan State University and Thomas Cooley Law School. That I have more than 16 years experience in practicing law, both as a prosecutor in Wayne County and a defense attorney. That as a judge, I will make sure that that the laws are applied fairly and equally. That as a judge, it's my job to ensure that that is what occurs. And again, I would ask you to vote for me, Nicole James.
Thank you. And I am attorney TataNisha Reed. I am not running for anything. My request is that you watch me on Channel 38 at 11 o'clock on Saturdays, that you listen to me on 910 a.m. Superstation every Saturday, 4 to 5, that you go to my Facebook, Legal Kaleidoscope. You go to my website, A Call to Care Law Firm. And if you need a great attorney who's full of energy, but yet and still very aggressive, you call me, 248-2288-377, 248-2288-377. In your time of need, if you want to succeed, call TataNisha Reed.